right, everyone, let's talk. Seems from the popularity of one of my other videos, everyone wants to hear what I have to say about things. So I am making another video. This is in the middle of my housework, so this will be quick, to the point. And if my dog barks, he barks. He's having a barking fit at the moment. But what I want to talk about is what happened on the campus of W&M last week. I believe it was last Wednesday, October 4th. They were having a program called Students in the First Amendment, and a woman by the name of Claire Gastagna, I think that's how you say her last name, she's giving a speech trying to teach the students how to be better demonstrators and how to know their rights in protesting, which I think is something that, if you're active in, protesting and demonstrating, this is something that is essential to know. So I think she had something very important to teach the liberal students at W&M. W&M is a school of privilege. You go there if you're wealthy and if you're smart. So if you're attending W&M, you are in no way an oppressed person. But BLM showed up at this event, which was put on by the ACLU. So this was not a right-wing speech. I don't think W&M has anyone right-wing that actually speaks on their campus. And I work down the street from W&M. So I didn't even hear about this till after it was over. But I find it quite amusing that BLM decided that they were going to protest an ACLU event to know your rights in demonstrating and protesting. It's kind of funny. But the BLM students, and from what I understand, this was live streamed on the W&M live stream and on the BLM live stream in W&M. I guess there's a BLM chapter here. Who knew? But what they did was they rushed the stage and held up signs. One of the big signs said "Blood on your hands." I'm not sure what blood on their hands they're referring to, because I don't remember anyone being murdered at W&M in the past, recent history, especially anything racial at W&M. W&M students, like I said, are the more on the intellectual side, wealthy students, hipsters, people who aren't going out to Nazi rallies or KKK rallies. So I don't explain to me what blood on your hands means, and let's avoid going back 100 years. Let's talk about in our lifetime, in the lifetime of the students of W&M and the students that were protesting. Okay, so let's keep it relevant and recent. If you're talking about slavery, then you're going way too far in history to be blaming anybody at W&M. That being said, they were also chanting "shame, shame, shame." Hitler, and the ACLU would give Hitler rights to the oppressed is not impressed, which, again, if you're attending W&M, you are not oppressed. Okay, so I am not impressed either. They were chanting, the revolution will not uphold the Constitution. And by the way, if you're a BLM member, please put in the comments below what that means. What exactly do you mean by you're not going to uphold the Constitution? Are you going to strip the Constitution? Are you going to strip just white people of their constitutional rights? Are you going to do away with it altogether? And if you do away with it in the revolution, what do you plan to take its place? So leave your comments below. I'm really curious to know what that means. And my favorite one, which I agree with BLM on this one, liberalism is white supremacy. I absolutely agree with you on that. Liberals are the most racist people I've ever seen in my entire life. The most racist people I've ever met have been, especially growing up in California liberals. They're the most racist people I've ever met. They bend over backwards to show you how not racist they are. But then you get them in private, and it's a whole nother story. They are racist as hell. They use the slang negative terms for people of other races. I've heard it. I've seen it. They actually would come into my neighborhood in Sacramento. I grew up in a ghetto in Sacramento, East Sacramento, Del Paso Heights. And I remember the liberals coming in, making these speeches. Oh, it's so horrible here. We're going to make everything better. You elect me. You know, everything's going to change. Your life is going to get better. And nothing ever happened. As soon as the election was over, they didn't know who we were. I actually had them, when I was younger, wanting to use me to stand behind one of the Democrat speakers, and I was told that I was going to be their token. I have never been referred to in my life as a token before or after. I was going to be their token because I was Mexican and Native American. I'm not sure if they were going to use me because I was Mexican or Native American, but I was their token. So I agree. Liberalism is white supremacy. I absolutely agree with that 110%. If you can do more than 100%. But the interruption lasted about 20 minutes, and they gave the mic to the leader of this protest, which in the articles I've read, I didn't see that person's name, so I can't give you their name. But they made a prepared speech. And what they said was that this was payback for Charlottesville, that they're going to target the ACLU because the ACLU fought for the rights of the alt-right to protest at Charlottesville, which they did because the ACLU believes in the First Amendment and freedom of speech for everyone, whether or not you like what they're saying or not. And that's the thing. Told you my dog's having a barking fit. And that's the thing about the First Amendment, is everyone has the right to spew whatever nonsense they want as long as it doesn't come to violence. You have the right to say what you want until your fist connects with someone else's body. You have the right to say what you want. You have the right to believe what you want. And if other people don't like it, that's too bad. That's what it is to live in a free society. But after the leader made their prepared remarks, gave their speech, the students that wanted to speak with the speaker went to go to the stage to talk to the speaker, and the BLM activists then surrounded her and shouted around her so that nobody could speak with her. Again, violating her First Amendment rights to speak. And the problem is when you step on someone else's right to First Amendment rights, then your First Amendment rights are not going to be recognized later on. And what I mean by that is the University of Wisconsin just passed a new policy that will expel students that engage in violent and disorderly conduct protests. They're saying if you're going to go and step on someone else's constitutional rights, we will suspend you the first 2 times. And if you haven't learned the first 2 times how to peacefully protest, then on the 3rd time, we're going to expel you. And if you're going to university, you're not really that oppressed. So that's what I mean by this is going to be the pushback. This is the result of becoming violent by going out as Antifa and fighting with people and spraying them in the face with mace and hitting them with bats, is that eventually people are going to get tired of it, and policies like this are going to be put in place so that you will stop violating other people's First Amendment rights. You have the right to your First Amendment rights until it violates someone else's rights. And just one more thing before I move on. The University of Pennsylvania, a professor there by the name of Angela Putnam says that believing in hard work is white ideology. So again, this is a liberal. Believing in hard work is white ideology. To me, this is a racist statement, being a brown person. And, you know, maybe it doesn't come through the screen very well because of the lighting. I don't have a professional setup here. I occasionally make videos, so I don't have a microphone. I don't have lighting. But to me, what this says is, if you are a brown person, if you're black or you're Mexican or you're Native American, that you don't have what it takes to make it in a merit-based society, in a meritocracy, that you don't have the ability to work hard and achieve success in life. And that's not true. I'm not a millionaire, but I consider myself successful. I drive a newer car. I bought it brand new when I bought my car. I own my own home. You know, I have pets. I have friends. I can go do what I want. This weekend, Rob Zombie, one of my favorite performers, was in town. I live in between the two cities he was playing. I went to the concert both nights, had a great time both nights. I can do things like that. So to me, that's what it is to be successful. And, you know, it also infuriates me when the liberals say that brown people and black people don't have the resources to get an ID to vote. That's absolutely ridiculous. Even when I was younger and I didn't have a car and I didn't have health insurance and I worked a full-time job and I went to school full-time, I still knew how to get my butt to the DMV. And even though I didn't get a driver's license until I was 18 by my own choice, I still knew how to go to the DMV and get an ID. I had a bus ID, I had a school ID, I had work ID, and I had an ID from the DMV stating where I lived. So, you know, we are resourceful people. We know how to go to the DMV and get an ID. I think it costs $10, okay? A Happy Meal costs about the same. So if you can afford a Happy Meal, then you can afford an ID. So I get very insulted when liberals say that people that aren't white don't have the resources to go down and ride a bus and get to the DMV or walk to the DMV or take a cab or an Uber. It's ridiculous. Again, I agree with BLM when they say that liberalism is white supremacy. I do agree with that. But to crash this event kind of doesn't make any sense to me. So if you crashed it or you know someone who did or you would have crashed it, I'd love to hear in the comments below why you would crash this type of event, because it's not a right-wing event. It's not the alt-right having an event. This was a liberal teaching you about your rights to protest and how to get away with more things than, you know, the average person would. So again, in the comments, you know, let me know what you think. My mind isn't closed. You know, I make these videos, but my mind is not closed. If you have a civil point to make or a civil argument, I'm always willing to listen. And you might even change my mind on some things if you have an intelligent enough argument. The other thing I'd like to point out is in Charlottesville over the weekend on Saturday, the people that were in Charlottesville did come back. They had a rally at the Lee statue in Lee Park. I'm sorry, it's called Emancipation Park now. But those of us that have been around here a while, it's Lee Park. They went to the statue. There were about 40 or 50 of them with their torches. Richard Spencer gave a speech, and after the speech was over, they left. Completely peaceful, completely low-key. They were in, they had their rally, they gave their speech, they made their point, and they left. And Governor McAuliffe, whatever his name is, and the mayor of Charlottesville, wanted to make sure that they knew that they were not welcome there, and said that they were going to watch them and make sure that, followed them out of town like they're these like really bad guys. They're practicing their First Amendment right to assembly, to have a speech, to be peaceful, and to leave. So again, peaceful protest, there's nothing wrong with that. It's protected speech. It's when you decide to get violent, like Antifa gets violent, Black Bloc gets violent. When you get violent, you're going to have pushback. You're going to have people that are not going to agree with you. And people are starting to see the truth of who the violent people are. BLM, if you continue to stay peaceful, I have no issue with you. The first few times you were out protesting, though, I saw people getting beaten up. I saw cars being lit on fire, and I saw looting. Now, if you can get rid of the people that do that, you are within your rights to protest whatever you want to. And so that's all that I'm going to say. I'm out of time. Comment below if you like what I say. Subscribe. Comment as you see fit. And I'll talk to you later.